Good afternoon, everyone. About an hour before sunset, I thought I'd get out here and catch up on a video. Something I've been thinking about for a while. I've been enjoying, and you probably do too, when expats give their little story or of experience as it relates to the Philippines changing them. It's a joy to hear. You're happy for the gentleman that he's found a good, happy life here. I mean, that's what we're all after, is some peace, quiet, and enjoyment in our retired years. So that's what I want to address today. What are the mechanics behind this change? I mean, it just doesn't happen. And you say, well, they must be very versatile or resilient or flexible people to enjoy the Philippines. Because there are a number of things that could be discouraging. And yet, when we think of flexibility and resilience, they really mean the same. They're very closely associated with another word, which is adaptability. Can you adapt? Can I adapt? Now, they don't mean the same. The flexibility and resilience does not require change of circumstances, whereas adaptability does. Now let me give you an example. Supposing you have a daughter and she has two 10-year-old twin boys. You're a disciplinarian and you know what those boys stir up when they come over to your place. Mother does not discipline them, and they're, you might say, out of control. Well, what do? And one day your your daughter calls you, say, Dad, we're coming over for one day, next Friday, and I'm bringing the boys. And oh, of course you welcome them, and of course you love her, you love the boys. But you are relieved that it's just for one day. You may be one who has said or in the past, well, it's nice to see him come, but it's nice to see him go. So they come and you know that you have enough flexibility in you and resilience to deal with them for the 24 hours or however long they'll be there in the day. And you know that tomorrow or the day after, things will get back to normal for you because you're resilient, you're flexible, right? Now let's change that scenario just a little bit. So after your daughter and grandboys leave, about a month later, she calls you up again and say, Dad, I'm moving in with you with the boys for a few months. Now, what has happened? It's not versatility and flexibility anymore, or resilience. It is adaptability. That changes the circumstances. A change of circumstances. How are you going to be able to adapt? How are you going to handle that? There was a Greek writer who wrote something to the effect of, there's only one thing that's constant in life, and that is change. That's what's constant, is change. Now let me give you some other scenarios. You're at work in the 80s, and you've been doing things by hand, and the boss comes by and drops some software and a computer on your desk. He says, learn it, because we're not going to do it by hand anymore. And well, I guess you have two choices, don't you? Certainly you can be versatile and flexible at the thought of taking on this other means of work, but there might be some hesitancy there. So what's needed there? It's adaptability. It's either learn the software or somebody else is going to have your job. So you're pretty much forced into adaptability. The circumstances have changed. Well, let's take it to health. Most of the expats are older, and what happens with age? Sometimes diseases, sometimes things not so pleasant. I think of one case in particular. The gentleman is here in the Philippines. His name is Monty. I have not met him yet. I wish to meet him someday soon. But upon arriving here just not too many years ago, Monty has had 3 or 4 strokes and a heart attack, one of which I know from what I've seen on YouTube. And now the circumstances have changed for the gentleman. Now, how does he handle that? Well, I suppose you could curl up and give up, but Monty's attitude is great. He's adapted to the fact that he can't walk the same way as he used to, talk the same way, but he's making the best of it. He's adapted to his situation. And I might add, he could do with some help by you subscribing, and I wish you would. His channel name is The Crew Family Philippines. Crew spelled C-R-E-W. The Crew Family Philippines. And I take my hat off to Monty and his attitude. It's excellent. What about relationships? Well, what do you think? Isn't it give and take? That's adaptability. Yes, you can be flexible, but not necessarily accept something. But there has to be adaptability. And what about culture? Well, let's speak of the Philippine culture. It's different. It's different from the people, which are very nice and accommodating. The food, well, there's food depending on your diet, and I don't know if it matters about your diet because you can find food here. Whether or not it would suit you or not, that would remain to be determined. What else is different here? Well, the language, let's see, that's not an issue, is it? Because thankfully, there's one country in the world you can move to where almost everyone knows at least some English. Some are afraid to use it, and the younger ones, not so much. They'll try to work with you with the language. So that's a nice thing. Now, how is it that we can switch from flexibility to adaptability? Well, I suggest, and I'm sure all these men have experienced, it's a change of mind. Do I have the ability to change my mind about things? Do I have the ability to see things from a different perspective. And all of which would reflect eventually in my talk, right? My walk, specifically meaning our behavior. So if there's adaptability, you're going to have a change of thought. And you're going to talk that. It won't be bashing, it'll be encouraging and complimenting, and you'll be appreciative of where you're at. And of course, the walk, the behavior would be reflected from the fact that you have changed. You have adapted. And that is something that you may consider that you must do if you come to the Philippines. If I'm the kind of person that is, let's say, it's got to be my way or the highway kind of attitude, you will fail here in the Philippines. That's just how it is. Right? Actually, regardless of where you move, you need that flexibility, but especially you need adaptability. You have to be able to adapt. Now, the older you get, I suggest it's harder to do. But it's possible because I'm adapting. I'm not to the point where these other gentlemen are totally adapted. They've been here 2, 3, 4 years or longer. I've just been here just a little over a year. But I see myself, the other day, I noticed that I don't get frustrated with the driving here anymore. If there's anything to get frustrated over, it is driving in the Philippines. I've driven in Central America. I've driven in Canada and, of course, all across the United States. And this is the different ball game here. So you adapt, you change your mind about things, your attitude changes, and your behavior will as well. Now, for some personal experience, excuse me for talking about myself now, but in 1977, as a Canadian, I moved to the United States. Yes, I paid taxes from the get-go, never ever claimed anything from the government. For 43 years, I worked in U.S. Well, that was a change of circumstance, but really, I didn't have to adapt because things were better in California where I moved from. I was at the time in Alberta, Canada, which is a nice place, Calgary area, but it was better in California. So that really, that's a poor example really of adaptability. Now, in 1982, I was totally immersed quickly into another culture, another country, Honduras, Central America. Versatility, really, or resilience, wouldn't help me if I was depending on them. I had to adapt. The language, number one, which I had to learn to a certain extent, was Spanish. The people were nice, accommodating. May I say, not as accommodating as the Filipino. And Filipinos viewing, I want a mark for that. Please subscribe. But the food wasn't difficult. You know, frijoles and a little bit of arroz and no guacamole there. That's Mexico. So their meals were actually bland as compared to Mexico. But so there was the food. The weather, well, much more humid than here. Yeah, Houston is bad, it's true, but it was worse in Honduras, tell me. No, I had a choice, didn't I? I could remain in negativity and be miserable, and that would have been a very difficult time for me in a 2-year period. So I did have to adapt. It pretty much forced me to adapt. Yes, you have a change of mind, your perspectives change a little, and you learn to cope. And it was actually a very good experience for me, so I don't regret it one bit. 2008, Americans know what happened then. The financial crisis. I call it a crisis because nobody was building a house, nobody was remodeling, nobody was selling a house. People feared for their jobs. Their 401ks went you know where. And it was difficult. I was in the real estate business then, starting to do very well, and that hit. And I lasted into 2009, and that was the end of it. I had to do something else. Circumstances changed for me in that era. And, well, by trade, I'm a cabinet maker, a remodeler. Nobody was spending the money. So I had to resort to something that I had acquired many years prior to that, and that was driving an 18-wheeler. I had a Class 1, and that's what I did. In fact, up until I moved here with a couple of 6 months breaks. But I had to adapt. You adapt or you starve, and you remain unhappy. When you adapt, things go better for you, and you learn from the whole experience. So the question remains, can I adapt? Can you adapt? If you're planning on moving here, can you adapt? You know, when you can, if your answer is yes, then you will open for yourself a whole new life of opportunity. No kidding. You will. And is it worth it? Well, I would say it is. It very much an emphatic yes. Would I do it again? An emphatic yes. Now I'm going to just shut this down. I'm getting some noise in the background here. With another quote. I don't know who wrote it, but this is what this person said. It says, if you are not changing anything in your life, you are choosing. If you're not open to change, you're choosing what you're not changing. So if I'm not willing to make some changes up here first in the thought process, and then it'll eventually come out of your mouth, the positive stuff, and then your walk, your behavior. It'll show if you've adapted to a specific place, wherever that is in the world. And that's very possible. Sometimes it's a little humbling, but you'll learn that if you want to proceed. Now, I hope this has been a help and encouragement for those who are thinking of moving here. Or I suppose if you find difficulty in adapting, or you're not having an open mind to any drastic change, then perhaps you should sit where you're sitting in your lovely leather recliner by Loren. I had one. I had 2 of them, but I gave them up to come here. So be encouraged. There's going to be changes, but you can handle it with the right mindset. So until next time, again, thank you for following me, and we'll see you. Take care. Bye now.